A secret document has surfaced, and what it reveals is nothing short of terrifying, buried deep inside confidential archives. This leak outlines strategies that could drag the entire world into a new global war. From Washington to Moscow, from Beijing to Brussels, military planners are quietly preparing for a scenario the public is never meant to see. The plans describe the unthinkable World War III, not as a distant possibility, but as a set of steps already in motion. To understand why these documents matter, we need to go back. After the Cold War ended, many believed the threat of global war had vanished forever. The Soviet Union collapsed, nuclear stockpiles were cut, and leaders promised peace. Yet, instead of lasting stability, NATO's expansion eastward reopened old wounds. Russia watched with suspicion as former Warsaw Pact states joined the alliance, bringing NATO forces closer and closer to its borders. What Moscow saw as encirclement, the West saw as security. These competing worldviews hardened over decades, creating the backdrop for conflict. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea. In 2022, it invaded Ukraine, triggering the largest East-West confrontation since the Cold War. Billions of dollars in Western weapons poured into Ukraine, while Russia unleashed drone swarms, cyber attacks, and propaganda campaigns. Now leaked documents suggest that what we are witnessing is only the rehearsal for something larger. The text describes rapid mobilization plans, millions of troops positioned within weeks, equipment stockpiled in neighboring states, and secret supply lines hidden under civilian cover. It speaks of multiple synchronized fronts, operations in Eastern Europe, the Black Sea, and the Pacific, all designed to overwhelm enemy response systems. Perhaps the most chilling sections describe cyber warfare, coordinated strikes to shut down power grids, collapse banking systems, and blind communication networks. Entire nations could be thrown into darkness without a single missile being launched. Then come the drones, autonomous swarms controlled by artificial intelligence, programmed to confuse defenses and strike military bases before human operators even react. Nuclear weapons are not ignored. The documents outline so-called thresholds, red lines where tactical nuclear strikes could be used to stop enemy advances without triggering full strategic retaliation. The idea is controlled escalation, but history shows escalation is rarely controlled. The final layer is hybrid warfare, false flag attacks, mercenaries recruited abroad, covert sabotage of infrastructure, and disinformation campaigns, so sophisticated that truth itself becomes impossible to recognize. These are not fantasies. Every element of the leak mirrors strategies already visible on the ground today. Russian jets have breached NATO airspace. Drone swarms hit Ukrainian cities almost nightly. Reports reveal that Russia recruited thousands of Cuban mercenaries to fight on its behalf. American officials issue sharper and sharper warnings to Moscow. The leak, in other words, is not a blueprint of some distant nightmare. It is a mirror of a reality already unfolding. Could this really trigger World War III? The full-scale mobilization of millions seems improbable. Nuclear deterrence still works, and the cost of war is enormous. Economies would collapse, leaders would face domestic uprisings, and logistics would strain even the most powerful nations. Yet the danger lies elsewhere. Modern conflict is no longer about tanks rolling across open fields. It is about shadows, signals, and systems. Hybrid warfare allows nations to wage war without admitting it. A cyber attack can cripple an entire country without firing a shot. A swarm of drones can devastate a city without a single soldier crossing a border. A false flag explosion can frame an innocent party and justify retaliation. These are the tools of 21st century conflict, and they are already being tested. Consider the recent breaches of European airspace, the mass cyber attacks on Ukraine's infrastructure, or the mercenary armies quietly recruited from abroad. Each reflects an element of the leak strategy. The risk is not that one day leaders will declare a world war and unleash nuclear weapons. The risk is that small, deniable acts escalate step by step until a global chain reaction becomes unstoppable. Imagine a Russian missile accidentally striking NATO soil. Article 5 could be invoked, drawing dozens of nations into conflict overnight. Imagine a cyber strike shutting down power across half of Europe. Retaliation would be inevitable, but the source might remain unclear. Imagine a limited tactical nuclear strike on a battlefield. Even if leaders intend to keep it contained, Public outrage and political pressure could force escalation. History has shown that wars often begin not with careful planning but with miscalculation. The First World War erupted after a single assassination. The Second World War after a series of gambles gone wrong. Now we stand at the edge of a third, with nuclear stockpiles, artificial intelligence, and cyber weapons added to the mix. Nations are preparing. The United States has shifted its defense strategy from counterterrorism to great power competition, building forces capable of facing Russia and China simultaneously. Russia pours resources into drone production, propaganda, and cyber units. China quietly expands its military reach, eyeing Taiwan and beyond. Across the world, defense budgets climb, alliances tighten. War games simulate scenarios leaders publicly deny they are planning for. Yet alongside these preparations, fragile diplomacy continues. Talks on nuclear stability attempt to prevent catastrophe, but they are overshadowed by mistrust. Each side accuses the other of deceit. Each side insists it is only defending itself. The truth, however, is that both sides are moving pieces into place. The leaked plans are not just about armies and weapons. They reveal the mindset of global powers. War is no longer an event. It is a condition. It is cyber intrusions that never stop, propaganda that never sleeps, and proxy battles fought in distant lands. The world is already at war, but most people have not recognized it yet. The countdown does not begin with sirens. It begins with silence. Servers crashing, lights going out, drones buzzing above, and narratives shifting online. If the documents are accurate, then we are already inside the first stages of World War III. But even if they are exaggerated, they still expose the direction in which the world is moving. The choice is not only in the hands of generals and presidents. Public awareness matters. Civil societies, journalists, and citizens still have the power to demand diplomacy over destruction. Yet the clock is ticking. The longer preparations continue, the harder it becomes to step back. The reality is simple. The world has entered a dangerous era where every cyber breach, every drone strike, every border violation carries the risk of triggering a chain reaction. Leaders speak of red lines, but history shows lines are easily crossed when fear and pride collide. The documents remind us that peace is fragile and war is always closer than it appears. Whether this countdown ends in catastrophe or restraint depends on choices made in the shadows today. One truth remains. The plans are real, the risks are real, and humanity now stands at a crossroad. The question is not whether the world is preparing for war. The question is whether we will recognize the danger and pull back before it's too late. This is World War III Countdown. Secret plans exposed.